All right, now we'll continue with chapter 2, but initially I'm going to talk about R data types. We last time talked about the basic data types, and then we started with basic R data structure. Okay. The first one is vector. Okay. And the easiest way to create a vector is to use the combine function C within parentheses, and then you type in the content of the vector. Okay. And the vector must be of all same atomic type, which means the basic data type. When you say atomic type, so the data type is what we mean, and the vector function will queries the contents. If you have mixed data types, it will all be queries to the least common denominator data type. So at the basic level, it will be character. So if nothing else, everything will be converted to character. But everything can be, okay, we're not going to be worried about complex. So if everything can be represented as double, then it will be double, it won't be character. Or if everything can be represented as an integer, then it will be integer and so forth. Okay. So that is where we stopped. The next data type is matrix. Okay. Matrix is like a vector, it has to be all the same data type. Okay. The difference here is that it is a table. It has rows and columns. Okay. So that's the difference. Okay. And then you can create a matrix. You can create a matrix using the matrix function. Okay. And this is the syntax for the matrix function. So you have matrix, and then you give a data. Okay, I'll show you an example in just a second. And then you have the number of rows and number of columns of the matrix. And then you want the data to be arranged by rows or by columns. Then you can give dimension names that is to be assigned to rows and columns. So you can have row names and column names for the matrix. Okay. All right, so let's look at an example. Okay. And this as data frame is a function that we can use to convert a matrix into a data frame. Okay. So let's okay, so I'm going to now insert a code chunk. Okay, Control Alt and I. Okay, so suppose if I say C1 to 4, okay, now that will create a sequence of numbers 1, 2, 3, 4. Right, so that's our data. Right. Suppose we want to arrange this data into a matrix, right? So then we can say matrix. Okay. Now C1 to 4 is the data, and then we have to specify the dimension of the matrix. So we say 2 by 2. Okay. So it will take the 4 values and arrange them in a matrix, a 2 by 2 matrix. Okay. All right. So the values 1, 2, 3, 4 is arranged by column. So it goes first column, okay, 1, 2, and then the second column 3, 4, and so on. Okay. So like if you have 1 to 6, and you want to arrange them into a matrix of 2 by 3 matrix, so it will go 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5, 6. Right? Now, if you want to go the other way around, then you have to specify that. So, the default is by column. Okay. So, that is what this is. Okay. You have data n row n column by row is false, okay, by default. So, now we say true. Okay. So, then the numbers will be arranged by row. Okay. So, that is matrix, and we will use matrix off and on, but not very often. Okay. There are certain functions that we need, okay, that will work only when the data is a matrix. So, in such instances we will convert a data frame into a matrix and then use it. So, that is the reason why matrix is important for us to understand for our purposes for this class, but we will not be using matrix regularly. Okay. Off and on we use it. Now, array is an extension of matrix. So, matrix is a 2-dimensional data set, it is a table, right. So, it has rows, columns. Okay. Array is when you have more than 2 dimensions. Okay. So, you have row, the column, and then within the cell you have another dimension, and within that another dimension. So, you can have n dimensions. The n dimensional, so more than 2 dimensions, and again it has to be all the same atomic type. So, vector, matrix and array, they are all same in this aspect, that is they all must be of the same data that it contains must all be of the same atomic type. Yeah. And we will not be using array very much, so all you need to know is that there is such a thing called array, and it is like matrix except that it has more than 2 dimensions.